He planned to disappear on his 26th birthday, the case of Daryl Cooper. Daryl Cooper was born on October 11, 1977. He spent much of his early childhood at the Pentameters Theatre on Heath Street. He attended William Ellis School on Parliament Hill. Upon leaving school, Daryl had the opportunity to travel abroad and living in South Africa and Sydney. At 19 he was already a UK snakeboard champion and third in the world, who was known as D in breakdance circles. His mother, Leonie Scott Matthews, founder and owner of the Pentameters Theatre in Hampstead, describes it. It was very much a freelance life. He did a lot of modeling and tombstoning, diving off cliffs into the sea, in the Channel Islands. He used to practice breakdancing on the stage at Pentameters with his friends. He was a high flyer, very outward, very good looking.
Starting in 2002, Daryl's life began to change. Scott Matthews counts that her son began to have hallucinations, as well as unlimited energy and trouble sleeping. His mother recalls that one night Daryl ran for miles looking for her. He was in a manic state and he'd got it into his head that I'd been harmed. He was hospitalized at the Royal Free. In retrospect, we think his lifestyle had suddenly led to a condition known as bipolar disorder. Upon leaving the hospital, Daryl would begin to repeatedly disappear from his family. Once the hospitalization was over, he took out his savings and disappeared in Hawaii, being found 2 weeks later in San Francisco penniless. His trail was lost again at Christmas 2002, but thanks to a phone call from a doctor in Paris, he was found 3 weeks later in the French capital, near falling into the Seine River. The French medics were concerned, though Daryl insisted he was doing a maneuver. On August 6, 2003, the day of his stepsister's 15th birthday, with £430 in savings and a passport, Daryl disappears from the radar in Barnet, London at 25, his whereabouts unknown ever since. Weeks before what would be the final disappearance, Daryl had expressed wanting to disappear on his 26th birthday with the idea that 3, maybe 4 years they wouldn't see or hear from him. Faced with the possibility that drugs were involved in the changes in Daryl's life, his mother said, "Because you have to be so physically fit with his sport. He was very clean living, but, having said that, I think it could have been brought on by smoking something," she said. He was never particularly interested in drugs. His bipolar condition, might have happened anyway, but it might have been triggered by that. Certainly Daryl was reluctant to take medication he was prescribed following what doctors described as his psychotic episodes. There was no way he would take his medication unless he was in hospital. It would build up over a period of time and he would start to behave in a manic way. The Hawaiian island of Maui has been one of the places considered by his mother where her son could have gone, since he often talked about it. Other search points have been Paris and India.
Strange phone calls add to 38-year mystery of missing sister. Kathleen Kelly.
I've never seen this case posted on here before and I've seen anyone really discuss it either. It's another strange disappearance of a child and I just think there's something odd about it. Kathleen, who everyone called Kathy, was a 12-year-old girl who was last seen on May 22, 1981 in Cheswick, Pennsylvania. Kathy went to the chess arena skating rink with her brother-in-law John Stanko and her nieces and nephews, who were close to Kathy's age. Both John and her sister, Judy Stanko, who was over 20 years older than Kathleen, both worked at the rink. At some point during the day, Kathleen got bored and left the chess arena. She walked the 8 blocks to her sister's home, where Judy was home alone with her infant daughter. They spoke for about an hour, then Kathleen decided to walk the 6 blocks to own home in Springdale, Pennsylvania. It was nothing at that time for her to walk from one end of Springdale to another, said her older sister, Judy Stanko. It wasn't rare for Kathleen to leave the rink by herself. She would do that. Judy asked if she was sure she wanted to walk, but Kathleen said she would be fine, and left. Judy felt her sister was being evasive and may have had plans to do something else that evening. Kathleen never arrived home and has never been heard from again. I said to her, "Are you sure you want to walk home?" She said, "Yeah, I'll be fine," Judy said, noting that she felt Kathleen was being evasive. "I truly thought she had plans but didn't want me to know what the plans were," she said. Kathleen's niece, Kimberly Robertson, was about 4 years older than Kathleen, and the girls were good friends. Kimberly believes Kathleen was not abducted but left on purpose and did not plan to return. She said there were unspecified problems in Kathleen's home at the time, and she thought her aunt had run away to avoid them. The police also treated the case as a runaway from the onset and did not seriously investigate at the time. Robertson also believes Kathleen actually disappeared in 1980, not 1981, which is her aunt's listed date of disappearance. Kathleen's case remains unsolved and her family remains hopeful that she is alive. "My personal opinion is that Kathleen left. She wasn't taken. How she can live and survive, I have no idea. She would have needed help," she said. Kimberly remembers feeling a sense of relief at Kathleen's departure. "My initial thought was, thank God she's gone and out of that house," she said. Then it was, "I lost my best friend, I never thought she would never come back." About 9 or 10 years after Kathleen's disappearance, Kimberly got a strange phone call at her Springdale home from someone who simply said, "You know who I am and I'm fine," before the line went dead. She got other calls where she would pick up the phone but no one would speak. Kimberly would ask if the caller as Kathleen, and the caller would hang up. Kimberly wants Kathleen to know, if she is still alive, that it's okay to come home. "I don't feel like she's gone, I just feel like she's far away," she said. Her message to Kathleen is something the two of them said to each other when they were younger. "Love you near and far."
The untold story of Kevin Heinl.
Kevin Heinl, a 19-year-old from Schaumburg, Illinois, lived at home with his parents and was supposed to start a new job at the Rainforest Cafe at the Woodfield Shopping Center. The last time his parents saw him, he was heading to that new job. He never showed up to work. After that, his friends and family heard nothing from him. He was reported missing on March 8, 2011. His parents filed the missing persons report in Cook County, Illinois. When police ran the plates of his car, they discovered that the car had been found abandoned in Newtown, Indiana the night before. The car had allegedly sped through an accident scene. A deputy was dispatched and when they caught up to the vehicle they discovered it sitting in the road, still running, with the driver's side door open and no one inside. Kevin's license and a backpack were found inside. It could not be confirmed by Newtown police whether Kevin was the one driving the car, a silver Honda Civic. It was left on the side of Indiana 341 in a rural area and the GPS in Kevin's car may have indicated that he was heading to Florida, where he had friends. Kevin's parents claimed that the Newtown police were not very helpful in trying to locate their son. The police claimed they did not have the resources and didn't have access to things like helicopters or dogs. Kevin's sister-in-law said that when friends and family tried to call or text his phone, it was answered by a 14-year-old girl from Newtown. The sister-in-law says that they were originally led to believe that she had bought Kevin's phone from him, but she's changed her story. First she said she got it at a party, then found it on the street, then got it from a friend. Police interviewed the 14-year-old on March 12 who claimed to have seen Kevin in Newtown, Indiana on the previous Saturday. They recovered Kevin's cell phone from her. She told police that someone walked up to her, said, "Here's a cell phone," and turned around and walked off. One source says that when shown Kevin's photo, she acknowledged seeing him. A different source says she never positively identified him from photos. Another source says she failed to pick him out of a photo lineup. On March 12, a police officer from Vermilion County, Illinois reported to dispatch that he saw a young man who matched Kevin's description walking along Indiana 25 in Tippecanoe County. On May 17, 2011, Kevin's remains were found in a field in Fountain County, Indiana, only 4 miles from where his car had been found. He was found by a worker for a chemical spraying company who described his remains as skeletal. The cause of death is unknown. Kevin's sister-in-law said that family members worried that Kevin could have experienced the bipolar episode. He had never been diagnosed, but several relatives suffered from it. His sister-in-law also said that Kevin had some emotional problems. He was saying that he just wanted to get out of here and go to Miami. He was being really erratic and confusing. Later, his parents thought he was going to start his job. But then they got a call from the police in Indiana that they found his car in Fountain County. The night before his disappearance, Kevin sent conflicting text messages to his parents reading, "I can't wait to start my new job and I'm taking off." His parents created a video where they expressed their dissatisfaction with the investigation and their desire for the case to be reopened. They still do not know how their son died. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of information on this case, but Kevin's family deserves to know what happened. Did Kevin experience a bipolar episode or something else related to his mental health? How did he die? Why was the 14-year-old girl in possession of his phone, and why did she, allegedly, change her story about how she got it?